Miman, all-knowing and all-powerful, starting with the elderly wolf uncle. Chapter 35. I didn't expect to meet an expert, I confessed my mistake. Seeing this, Catwoman knew that she was exposed, and she was a little discouraged and directly handed over her wallet, her eyebrows lowered and pitiful. It's not okay to admit mistakes like this. The wallet is originally my thing, and you don't have to pay any price for returning it to me. Chen Tian withdrew his wallet with a playful smile under his eyes. Maybe you should invite me to a cup of coffee, otherwise you don't want to go directly to the police to confess your mistake. This young lady, quote. But Catwoman's eyes widened, scanning the price of the meal list and wanting to cry. No matter what kind of coffee price was so expensive that she felt distressed. Just looking back at Chen Tian still looking at himself with a smile, as if he was saying that he would call the police without inviting coffee. Catwoman suddenly softened her whole person, endured the pain of flesh and ordered the cheapest cup of coffee. Drink it, I'm going to watch you drink it all, not a drop is allowed to go to waste. Wait until the coffee is ready. She huffed and brought it to Chen Tian, and her big dark eyes were full of resentment. Because of a cup of coffee, the already difficult economic situation is even worse. Chen Tian took a sip of coffee, and looked at the Catwoman's face as dark as a grudge, and felt funny in his heart. Catwoman in this period does not seem to have grown up, not much older than him. There are still many naive places in behavior and psychology, but there is a lot of room for development when it can be resisted. Then, the news coming out of the TV in the store attracted Chen Tian's attention. 6 government personnel were killed in Gotham City last night, and riddles were left at the scene of the murder. The Gotham police have located the suspect, codenamed Riddler, and are making every effort to arrest. Chen Tian turned his head and narrowed his eyes slightly. The Riddler has started to show up in Gotham, but he can meet this guy before going to the metropolis. He came interested. At this time, the Catwoman next to her saw that Chen Tian's attention was focused on the TV, and quickly took the opportunity to slip away quietly. She didn't know that after she left, Chen Tian chuckled, picked up the coffee and took a sip. If Chen Tian was willing, 100 Catwomen would not be able to escape his control. But he still has a lot to do, and he doesn't have to bring a woman with him. Wait until you have time to play with her later. ... The other side. The Catwoman who had run to the alley outside was full of remorse. Damn it, damn it, damn it, quote. She clenched her fists and tried to vent. Her expression was indignant. If the wallet is not stolen, forget it, and put a cup of coffee money into it. How can coffee be so expensive? Catwoman frowned, feeling more distressed at the thought of the price of that cup of coffee. That shop is really. They can obviously grab it directly, and they will even give customers a cup of coffee. Quote. Walking through the streets, after a long sigh, Catwoman's mood calmed down a little. The Riddler, someone is going to be out of luck. Quote. She remembered the news she had just seen at the coffee shop and muttered angrily. ... Chapter 44. Elevator Tragedy. 3 riddles. Time passes slowly. Not long after Gotham, which had entered the evening, it was completely shrouded in a thick night. The snakes, insects, rats and ants hidden in the dark alleys of the narrow streets began to move one after another at this time, stirring up the night that should have been quiet. Ugh. An inky cloak fluttered, like a bat's swift black figure, and also rushed through the major streets. Chen didn't appear last night. I don't know if I can wait for him today. Bruce, who turned into a vigilante, flashed his eyes, and the hook and claw rope in his hand contracted rapidly, helping him cross a distance of 100 meters and come to the top of a dozens of stories high. He stood under a full moon hanging from the wheel, overlooking the neighborhood where Chen Tian often appeared at his feet. The Riddler who appeared in the past 2 days has plunged countless citizens into panic, and even the police department has not the slightest solution. And Bruce is also investigating the Riddler's affairs, but he alone seems to be a bit difficult, and he needs help. Chen Tian is undoubtedly the best one. Ah, no, no. Just as Bruce's gaze kept scanning the street below, a panicked female voice cut through the night sky. Next second, Batman heard the wind, a few tosses and jumps, plus hooks and claws to help, but in a blink of an eye he had already arrived at the alley where the female voice came. I saw a drunken gangster, who was trying to violate the woman in front of him, without noticing that there was a dangerous figure behind him. Bang bang. Several muffled sounds of fists colliding with the body sounded, and the gangster who was mentioned by Bruce in his hand had fainted. Thank you, thank you. The woman regained her freedom and looked at Batman with a thank you, and then quickly left in shock. It seems that Mr. Vigilante has not been very popular recently. At this time, Chen Tian's voice came from behind Bruce. You finally appeared. Bruce casually dropped the gangster and let him collapse to the ground, turned his head to look at Chen Tian, and his hoarse voice did not fluctuate at all after changing his voice. As if he didn't care about the latter's ridicule. The mayor died, but you didn't kill it. Chen Tian noticed the other party's mood swings, shrugged his shoulders and said in a relaxed tone. People outside are questioning me. Why do you think I didn't do it? Bruce was a little surprised when he heard this, and his eyes were puzzled. You don't kill anyone. Your butler did it, did you? Chen Tian said with a smile. Bruce was deeply shocked when he heard this. The other party guessed well. He had never killed anyone from beginning to end, which was his insistence in his heart. I am afraid that after breaking this principle, I will fall into a hell that I can never turn back from. After all, as a dark knight who is outside the law, if his hands are stained with blood, then he is no different from those crimes. I said you would never kill, and no one knows you better than I do. The corner of Chen Tian's mouth seemed to be smiling, and he looked at the other party's gaze and said confidently. Bruce, who received such an answer, moved slightly in his heart, but did not continue to ask. He knew that if Chen Tian wanted to say it, he would naturally say it. It's just that in Bruce's heart, this boy who was originally from a mysterious origin suddenly became more and more distant, and his back was full of fog. Yesterday there was a guy who liked to guess riddles and murdered 6 important officials in one go. I'm going to get him out tonight. Are you interested in joining us? Bruce said his intentions for tonight. Actually, I don't care about the lives of those officials. Chen Tian raised his eyebrows, and said with a bit of a smile in his tone, but I'm quite interested in that guy who guessed riddles. Quote, in any case, it's good that you're willing to act together. After Bruce heard Chen Tian promise to assist, he suddenly felt a lot less pressure. After all, after several contacts, although he still did not know the true identity of the other party, he had trust in Chen Tian's ability. Without further ado, let's get ready to go. Chen Tian suggested. Wait first, the operation to capture the riddler, there is one person besides the two of us. Bruce didn't hurry to leave and called out to Chen Tian. Allies? Chen Tian was puzzled at first, but then a dexterous silhouette flashed in front of his eyes, and he faintly guessed the identity of the third person in his heart. At this time, a night breeze blows. Chen Tian's ears moved, and he heard extremely slight but swift footsteps, coming from far and near. He smiled a little. The identity of that ally in Bruce's mouth has been determined. Not often. A figure jumped down from the next upstairs, landing silently like a cat, and the man wearing a cat ear mask appeared between the two. Let me introduce you, this one is called Catwoman. Seeing her appear, Bruce turned around and introduced the identity of the other party to Chen Tian. He didn't notice at all that the Catwoman on the opposite side instantly turned black under the mask the moment she saw Chen Tian. Catwoman never expected that shortly after escaping from this annoying guy, she would meet again in this place. But fortunately, under the disguise, he couldn't recognize my identity. Chapter 1 Previous Chapter 35 186 Next chapter End Table of Contents